Peruzzi is not a new name in the Nigerian music scene. And that fact matters more than it seems. Before conversations about his solo career ever became mainstream, his pen was already present in some of the biggest rooms in Nigerian music. From shaping records for 2Boba to contributing to the creative backbone of Davido's catalogue, Peruzzi's songwriting has always traveled further than his image as a performer. For years, there has been a quiet imbalance in how he is perceived. Highly respected as a songwriter. Sometimes underestimated as a recording artist. Sabali feels like the moment where that imbalance is no longer being negotiated. Not through noise. Not through overstatement. But through clarity. This album does not sound like an artist trying to prove relevance. It sounds like an artist who already understands his place and is simply documenting it. Album identity and intent. The word Sabali loosely translates to patience, restraint, and composure. Those ideas are not just symbolic. They are embedded into the structure of the album itself. Nothing here feels rushed. Nothing feels desperate for attention. Even at its most confident, the album remains calm. This is important, because confidence in music often comes dressed as volume. On Sabali, confidence comes dressed as control. Production overview. Production on Sabali is handled by 5 different producers. iRock Classic, Major Banks, Dr. Set, Fresh VDM, and Sensi Music Lab, with Mike Seberg responsible for mixing and mastering. On paper, that number could easily result in a scattered listening experience. In reality, the album sounds remarkably unified. The production is predominantly Afrobeats, but it is approached cinematically. This is not club-first music. It is scene-based music. The beats unfold rather than drop. Intros feel intentional. Transitions feel planned. Listening to Sabali feels closer to watching a documentary than scrolling through a playlist. Diet, opening track breakdown. The album opens with Diet, and the choice is deliberate. The song unfolds in 2 movements. Major Banks introduces a cinematic entry that feels tense and atmospheric. Then iRock Classic takes over, grounding the track in Afrobeats rhythm. The transition is seamless, and it sets the tone for the entire project. This is not music built on shortcuts. It is music built on structure. Lyrically, Diet is about survival and refusal. Not refusal in an aggressive sense, but in a grounded, immovable way. Peruzzi presents himself as someone who understands pressure but is no longer defined by it. Sound consistency and engineering. This production ideology repeats itself across the album. Enough Respect and Cooking Pot also rely on layered intros and evolving beat structures. There is a strong argument that Dr. Set's influence, combined with Mike Seberg's engineering, is responsible for how balanced the album sounds. Every element feels placed. Nothing overshadows the writing. Nothing distracts from the narrative. Lyrical themes, self-discovery and ownership. Lyrically, Sabali is centered on self-awareness. Peruzzi writes from the perspective of someone who knows what he has achieved. This is his 3rd studio album. His songwriting has earned Grammy nominations. He understands that his value in the industry is not tied to trends. That awareness shapes how he speaks about success, respect, and relevance. There is no need to exaggerate. No need to posture. The album repeatedly returns to the idea of knowing who you are and standing firmly in it. Cooking Pot, thematic core. One of the clearest expressions of this theme appears on Cooking Pot, featuring Jerick. Here, Peruzzi uses metaphor to describe influence and legacy. He positions himself as the source. The place others come to learn, to feed creatively, to borrow perspective. It is not framed as arrogance. It is framed as experience. Jerick's contribution strengthens the song's grounding, connecting the metaphor to street reality and lived struggle rather than abstract status. Enough Respect and Legacy. Enough Respect, featuring Jesse Jaggs, is another key moment. The song reflects on recognition, not as something demanded, but as something accumulated. Both artists approach respect as a long-term consequence of consistency rather than popularity. It is a mature conversation, one that feels rooted in time spent navigating the industry rather than reacting to it. Normal Person, humanizing the artist. On Normal Person, featuring Terry and Bella Shmurda, the album takes a more vulnerable turn. Here, Peruzzi strips away celebrity illusion. He acknowledges flaws, emotional weight, and the reality that success does not eliminate personal struggle. The song works because it does not over-explain itself. It simply allows humanity to exist without apology. Cultural fusion and confidence. Opolo Drill brings cultural assertion into the album's narrative. By blending traditional Opolo influences with modern drill energy, Peruzzi affirms connection to heritage while remaining firmly contemporary. The song does not feel experimental for the sake of novelty. It feels rooted. Album flow and patience. One of Sabali's strongest qualities is its pacing. The album understands when to push forward and when to sit still. There are moments of energy, moments of reflection, moments of quiet confidence. Nothing overstays its welcome. Nothing feels like filler. Closing track, Holy Water. The album closes with Holy Water, and the choice feels intentional. Rather than ending on spectacle, Peruzzi chooses resolution. The song feels like a moment of cleansing, a release of pressure, a return to balance. It ties together the album's themes of patience, renewal, and self-acceptance. Final reflection, calm, resolved tone. Sabali is not an album made to shout. It is an album made to settle. It reflects an artist who understands that longevity is built on clarity, not noise. Peruzzi's songwriting has always been respected. What this album proves is his ability to turn that skill into a fully realized body of work. This is the sound of an artist standing comfortably in his own space. And sometimes, that is the strongest statement of all.